I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Lower McCounty Township Board of Commissioners to order. If we could all please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll note for the record for attendance, Vice President Ward is absent this evening. Everybody else is in attendance. Agenda modifications, we are going to move item 6.1 to the end of hearings and approvals. So 6.2 becomes 6.1, 6.3, 6.2, so on and so forth. We don't have any announcements and presentations this evening. Moving on to item 6, hearings and approvals. 6.2, resolution 2025-15, approval of the amended Bet-Simca plan. Vince.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. The Bet-Simca plan is the approval of amended Bet-Simca plan. It is the same plan that was in front of the board on Monday night at the workshop. And again, this plan is a previously approved plan. The applicant has come back to the board to ask for a phasing plan to put the plan from 1 phase to 2 phases. Again, the plan and resolution is the same that was presented at the workshop on Monday night. And I would be happy to answer any questions if there were any more.
Move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? I have one. So a couple things from the workshop the other night. So we discussed an agreement between the applicant and the automotive shop on the corner there for overflow parking. Have we received the agreement, the actual agreement, other than just saying, yes, we can use it?
We have not received the agreement. That is part of the resolution.
Okay.
But we have not to this point.
All right. The second part of that is when we do receive the agreement, I'll be curious to see if there's a time frame on that. You know, is it indefinitely? Is it for 2 years? I don't want to see this like they go out of business and all of a sudden we have to figure out what's going on. And I think additionally, and as we're going through the process, there probably should be a time limit to revisit this. Because if they do lose that overflow parking, they'll need to come up with a different option, which could include the crosswalk that is being removed from this. So I would say that within every, or at least 5 years, it should be revisited to see where we stand with that agreement.
So I'll probably ask Solicitor Brumer for some clarification. However, we did put a 5-year timeline on the a plan approval for them to complete the 2nd phase. So I will defer to Solicitor Bruman if we could tie that agreement in with that.
Is the parking that they're going to do in phase 2 to replace parking for the automotive?
No.
The parking, no, it's not to replace it, but it would be part of phase 2. So it would be required in phase 2.
Yeah, I mean, it just is a check, a checkpoint for us to
I
make
agree.
sure that what they're promising us now is actually still there at that point would be, I think, beneficial from a township standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
the
can
only
work that.
reason they would need the overflow parking is once the synagogue is constructed.
Right.
And they claim that they won't anyway, but it was part of the approved plan. And because the previous agreement was with a property across the street, that's what prompted the crosswalk. But yeah, I mean, if they don't ever build the synagogue, then they don't need it,
Okay.
All
right. Thank you. Are there any other commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions on this topic? Oh, come on up. If you just come up to, or you could sit here if you want. Just state your name, address, and just sign in when you're done.
Thank you. Yes, thanks everyone. My name is Ava and I am
Could you
resident
pull
of
the
30
mic down a little?
Well, yeah, a little.
Is this better?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, my name is Ava and I'm resident of 3371 Orchard Road, right across the street where this project is going to take place.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second. This is not the Mack Truck project. This is a different one. We're going to do Mack Truck at the end of.
Okay,
approval.
okay,
So
I'll come back to that.
You can come up back then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments or questions in regards to this in particular? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 6.3, Resolution 2025-16, approval of the sale of personal property. Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. As discussed at the workshop in detail, this is the authorization from the board to have these surplus, formerly used items owned by the township placed up for bid on our municipal bid platform and offered for sale.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.4, Resolution 2025-17, approving an amendment to the fee schedule. Mr. Beidle.
It was necessary for the township to adjust our fee for swim lesson participation with the swim season upon us. This is related to the charges conveyed to the township for EMAC as they run the swim lesson program. So it's necessary that we update this fee on our official schedule.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 6.1, Resolution 2025-14, approval of the amended Mack Truck Depot Properties Plan. Mr. Tranguch.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. President. Similarly to the project that was just presented to the board, this is a modified amended plan that is being proposed by the applicant, Mack Trucks. They do have an approved plan, and they are proposing to phase this plan as well. So it is, was in front of the board at the workshop on Monday night. So that feedback that we received, we took that from the workshop. Staff worked as well with consultants over the week with the applicant to address these concerns. And tonight, the applicant's here to make a presentation to the board and discuss any concerns that you may have.
You want to just come on up here and let us know who you are and what you have to say.
Thank you. My name's Alan Sable. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Meyer, Unkovic and Scott in Pittsburgh. I am representing Mack Trucks in connection with this application that the board is considering this evening for the approval of the amended final land development plans for the truck depot project off of Orchard Road. I was not present on Monday night, but as Mr. Tranguch said, I understand there were a number of comments that I've discussed with the solicitor and with my client and the consultants to try to address the questions that were raised. In order to adequately do that and give the board and the township sufficient time and information, I have with me a number of individuals. We have Gunnar Brunius from Mack, who is the plant manager, vice president and plant manager, Bill Walls, who is the vice president and of commercial operations for Mack, John Lyon, who's the real estate director, and I have Jeff Bevan from Bowler Engineering as well. This is, as you know, for the construction of the truck depot for the storage of trucks that are in the process of assembly. Mack owns the parcel. It's about 36 acres on the west side of Orchard Road. As was previously noted, there is already an approved final land development plan. So Mack is proposing to construct it in phases as opposed to as a single project all at once for a variety of reasons that I'm not sure we even need to necessarily talk completely about, but there's all kinds of things going on and that have been going on. In order to get started, I'd like Jeff Bevan to introduce himself, and he can explain in particular the phasing of the project and explain more details about what Mack is proposing to do and when. Jeff.
Sure. Jeff
Yeah,
Bevan.
Jeff, are you going to need any more things up on the screen?
No, it should just be the 3 pages of this PDF here.
Okay.
So I have, this is phase 1, phase 2, sheet 2, and then, page 3 is phase 3 of the development. So as was noted, this was approved.
Jeff, just pull that a little closer. Thank you.
All right, is that better?
And Renee, could you make
Th-
it bigger?
This was approved in 2019 by the township, and we've obtained all outside agency permits and approvals for the MPDES, the 105 permit to construct the site. The sequence of construction follows very closely what was previously approved, and the overall improvements are very, very similar to the original approval, with slightly less pavement ultimately proposed on the project. The request to phase was basically to break up the construction into 3 distinct phases that were outlined in the original approval for the sequence of construction. And so phase 1 of the project, which is what's shown on the screen here, includes the construction of the Orchard Road Southern Access, which was approved as the southern portion there, was approved as a construction access and emergency access. The installation of the landscaping and sound fence and berm on the eastern side of the property, as well as the installation of the sediment basin up along the Swabia Creek.
What was the last one?
The sediment basin up along the Swabia Creek on the north side of the site there. That's a conversion of an existing infiltration basin. And then from there, the installation of gravel for the parking lot. So this was part of our original approval. It was actually called a stage 0 of the erosion control plan at the time and approved by the Conservation District. And then in addition to this, with the initial recording of the plan would be the granting of an easement for the driveway on the adjacent property and the tie-in to Orchard Road. The last thing that's shown on here is a potential temporary access crossing the stream there. That was permitted with the original process for construction traffic, if that's needed with that initial installation. From there, phase 2 of the plan, which is page 2 of the PDF, includes the installation of the permanent stormwater facilities, the paving, spray irrigation system on the north side of the site, as well as the temporary access if needed for emergencies. And then phase 3, the only thing remaining in phase 3 is the construction of buildings, the fuel island and containment, and the intersection improvements at Orchard and Albertus, as well as the permanent stream crossing.
Jeff, can you just discuss just briefly the stormwater improvements, particularly going from phase 1 to the permanent on phase 2 with those permanent structures?
Yep. So phase 1 of the plan was designed with the conversion of the sediment basin on site. So we have swales around the perimeter that channel the water from the gravel down into the basin. That was designed with the original approval to handle that entire parking lot as if it was paved. It takes the water, it collects the runoff from the site, reduces the outfall rate to pre-development levels, and discharges it out to the Swabia Creek. In phase 2, that gets filled in, and an underground detention basin gets installed that ultimately feeds the spray irrigation system on the north side of the stream.
So you're going to switch to underground detention?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then phase 3 has just some inlets along the access to the north, but all of the main stormwater improvements and paving are installed in phase 2.
And Jeff, just to clarify, the stormwater management, the permanent stormwater management is the same as what was approved originally.
Exactly the same.
That sizing, whatnot, has not changed. And I know from reviewing the report between Monday night and now, uh, with the addition of the irrigation system on the opposite side of the creek, as well as the storage volume provided in the basin, you're exceeding what would be required on site. I believe with the original approval, there was some concessions made to take care of some volume control from other sites. I forget exactly why, but just as a reminder, all of that still is in play, and it's all going to be done per the original approval.
Absolutely.
And that for phase one, the sediment basin that is proposed is what was on the original plan, and it is what was permitted by the Conservation District as part of your NPDES permit.
That's correct.
That size, the location, all of that is exactly the same.
It was reviewed and approved, yes.
And the swales that are proposed, since phase one will really be the construction of the landscape berm to the east, as well as putting the stone parking area in, the storm sewer collection system will not be needed, but you will have swales around the perimeter to ensure that the runoff gets to the basin, correct?
That's correct.
And then as part of phase two, as you had explained, the permanent stormwater system gets installed, which includes all of the inlets, piping, et cetera, to get the water to the underground system.
Correct.
Right, and just the one point to clarify, and that's because you're going to be paving the property for the parking in phase two, and that's why you need to be able to direct it to those inlets to get it into the system.
Correct. Paving and curbing, yes.
Can I ask some questions?
Let's finish and then we'll go into questions.
Okay.
Jeff, just a couple of other questions for you. The landscape berm also includes a sound fence.
It does.
And
So
you-
we have a sound fence that wraps the corner in the southeast portion there, really around the residence that berm is up against. And that was done for additional noise abatement.
And then lighting, when will lighting be installed? That's part of phase 2, 3,
The lighting would be installed in phase two.
and that was included in the original approved plans,
Correct.
correct?
Yep. And the lighting was designed so that there wasn't spillover over the property lines, that it met all the township ordinances for that.
Okay. I would also like to ask Mr. Brunius to talk he and Mr. Walls to talk briefly about the operations and the rationale for and the reasoning for both the site and for the phasing. Gunnar, it's up to you.
All right, maybe I can start. My name is Gunnar Brunius. I'm the plant manager, and I have Bill Walls with my side as well, running the sales operations as well. So we are closely connected in the Mac business. And the whole intent, I mean, if you look at the Mac business, we've been there for 50 years, and the starting point is that we are planning to continue, of course, to grow the business and stay viable and also then relevant in the truck business market as well. And we acquired these properties, I think it was to 2017 or 16, in that time frame, with the purpose to also expanding this area with the parking. So that was the whole intent. And COVID hit us, and and then 2019, just prior to COVID, we had a strong growing market, and we had a high leverage when it comes to also then delivering and building trucks. Then we were hit by COVID, and then by sudden the market was disappearing, and we have had a struggle for quite some years now with the supply chain. But now in the autumn, we can see things are starting to change, and we need to shift gear. And by sudden, and also we are now having strong needs of the parking lot. And we have been investing also heavily over the last 6-7 years in the facilities in order to grow the business for the future, which is of course important in order to have good continuation. So where we're standing now, then we were 2019, we had a very strong drive when it comes to both the delivery and also the sales. And we had the pits, so to speak, we went into, and now we are seeing that also that we are having a strong drive again, and we are delivering more than we ever have done actually for many years back in time. And now we're having this need. The way we are operating today, which I think is important to understand, is that the parking lots we are utilizing today, they are spread over the Lehigh Valley. We have parking lots down in Allentown. And we are towing trucks down to this parking lot, and then we are towing them back again. And then we are shipping them then finally. So what we are doing also, if you look at it from a township perspective, is that we are reducing then, of course, also this truck traffic that goes away. So instead of towing them off plant and out to other parking lots and back again, and then make them ready for shipment, where they're staying then in the perimeter of the plant or inside, I would say, the village where we are operating. And also reason for facing this is, of course, it's at the end of the day, it's also about managing our finance and also doing this in stages. So that's the whole idea behind it, the phasing as well as we are proposing now here today. Maybe Bill, you would like to add something as well?
Yeah, just from a market perspective. So I've been with Mac for 28 years, 18 years in Hagerstown, and came up to LVO in 2015. So been in the Lehigh Valley for the last 10 years. And I was in operations since 2015, moved over to sales last couple of years. What we see in the market is the market grows every year on an average of 3%. So even if we kept our market share the same, in order to keep pace with our competition, we need to build more trucks. But in addition to that, we want to restore Mac to where it was in the glory days back in the 1970s, 80s with regards to market share. We just launched a new truck, billions of dollars invested in new technology. We're also investing in new technology when it comes to battery electric vehicles to help climate and our sustainability goals. So there's a lot of activities right now that's forcing the factory to get busted at the seams, and we need this area to be developed so we can expand our operations and become more efficient. Also maintaining operations in the U.S. at a cost competitive way. So this is a very important initiative for us. I would say that, what Gunnar said, the way we're operating today, we're towing trucks off-site, and this project will help us cut those transports by 2/3. So instead of moving a truck off-site with a tow truck, bringing it back with a tow truck, and then we deck trucks in a series of 3 or 4 trucks together to take them to the final destination. This is where Gunnar and I kind of handshake, and then I deliver to some 380 dealerships all across the United States and Canada. So this will cut down 2/3 of the traffic and impact the rest of the township in a very positive way. So we see this as the right move in the right direction, and taking it in stages will allow us to accelerate the use of this space quicker than otherwise, if we develop the full thing all the way through phase 3. Okay.
I think that's.
Alan, did you have any follow-up before I turn it to the commissioners?
No, I think that covers the points I wanted to address.
Okay.
Happy to hear if there are any questions or concerns.
Commissioner, questions?
Okay,
Commissioner Robert.
first question. What are the planned hours of operation of this facility?
The ordinary working hours, you mean, or
Huh?
you mean the working hours?
Yeah,
Yeah, we are starting up right after 6:30, the first shift, and we are ending last shift as of now closer to 11 o'clock in the evening. And then, of course, we are every now and then also utilizing the night shifts as well. So during ordinary weekdays, it's may be operations 24 hours a day, not necessarily, always taking trucks out, but some kind of activities. The main operation, though, is starting at 6:30 in the morning and keeps going to around 11 o'clock in the evening.
around when in the evening?
11 o'clock.
11
yes.
o'clock.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. And in phase 1, you're not planning on putting any lights in when it starts being operational?
And the use for what we are planning to do, if I understand the question correct, is to use them a lot for parking of trucks, fully utilization, even in the first phase. That is answering your question.
So probably not retrieving trucks over the night there. We would just stage them and then they would be brought back to the factory for decking, where we currently deck operations. So we wouldn't deck trucks in that operation, as I understand it, until phase 3.
I think to go to your question, which was, are there going to be lights installed during phase 1? Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, but the answer is the lighting goes in phase 2, correct?
And yeah, and so it seemed like it would make a little sense to go into phase 1 and.
Right.
But, okay, and also as far as, fire hydrants and so forth, are any of those being provided in phase 1?
Those are proposed to go in phase 2.
So those also, so there are not going to be any fires in phase 1, and so,
The intention, so the fire hydrants, water service ultimately serve the buildings in phase 3, was the intention. We're installing them in phase 2 so that there's no disruption to pavement once they're in. But that was the reason.
okay. Is there a cul-de-sac being planned at the end of Orchard?
Sorry, say again, Mark?
Is there a cul-de-sac?
Is there
being
a
planned?
cul-de-sac planned at the end of Orchard?
The township has plans to improve the size of the turning area that's there now.
But that was not part of this project?
No.
Is that correct, Bruce?
That's correct. We have looked at the cul-de-sac. At this point, we are looking at various things such as millings or hard surface there. But coordinating with this project has been kind of a component of this to see when this project would move forward and how it would interface with the township roadway at the end. So when we closed the rail crossing, the township did receive some monies to put towards this component of the cul-de-sac.
And I will add that one of the comments in our review letter is, it specifically says that the physical conditions of Orchard Road in that area are different from when the plan originally came in part because the road was closed and, you know, there is a turnaround area there now. The idea is to expand it to be able to meet PennDOT standards in terms of size. But I suspect that some of the grades are different from what originally showed up on the existing features plan. So the idea, you know, for me was, let's make sure that what will be installed for the construction entrance will work with the grades that are out there. I mean, I'm confident that it can be adjusted, but the conditions are slightly different, I believe, than what they were back then. So I think when that happens, we certainly can stay in close touch with the folks at MAC and Bowler and their contractors and kind of see, well, what's there now? Is there a way we can maybe expand on the turning area to kind of help things out a little bit? But we have to see exactly what's there as it relates to what their access location exactly is, if that helps.
Okay. So, and the driveway into the parking lot, I would prefer to see that macadammed as part of phase 1. That would prefer to leave the gravel at back rather than have the township street sweeper have to pick it up every week. So would that be included?
Looking at like the first 100 feet or so into the site.
Yeah, then, so that it looks like it's finished from Orchard Road, but
I don't know if we can do that. Because they need to have the construction entrance, which is stone, larger stone. I'm not saying, I understand what you're saying and have it be a little dressed up, but I think for the purposes of construction, the
Well,
first,
Okay, so are we saying that we're really not going to start using it until phase two? That
no,
it's
no,
gonna be-
what I'm
That it's going
saying
to be
is,
construction entrance only and not a working entrance for the parking of trucks during after phase one?
well, I think that's a question that would need to be answered by the applicant.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to be careful in not having a condition set up so that that first 100 feet or so gets paved, and it winds up violating the NPDES permit and the erosion control design. I completely understand your question, Commissioner Robert, and I'm honest to God, not trying to be argumentative.
So I'm,
Yeah.
well, I'm
So-
just trying to understand the phasing of all of this stuff and
Yeah, understood. So it would need to be stone when it first goes in to, from bare dirt. Once the site is stabilized and gravel would be stabilization, I don't see, we can certainly talk to the Conservation District about paving the first 100 feet. And then once the site moves into phase two, establishing a rock construction entrance at the end of that pavement. But that way, at least there's a stable surface up against the township roadway from a maintenance standpoint.
And I think as another what if,
Mhm.
if we wind up going in that direction, to me, it almost gives us the opportunity to install the other access, that temporary stream crossing that could possibly be used for any other remaining construction stuff, maybe,
For construction, certainly.
right?
Yeah.
Because if we pay, because they have to have a construction, so you have to have a rock construction entrance when construction activities are underway. Understanding, of course, that once they get all of the stone in and it's stabilized and they can park trucks on it, then theoretically the construction's done. I'm just trying to make sure we don't jump in and have something that violates the permits as they exist. And I think that if there's other construction to be done, maybe it could be shifted to the other access,
Mhm.
and that would all have to be coordinated with the Conservation District. But I agree, and it would be kind of nicer to have it dressed up, so to speak, down at the southern end. And just, I think the way the plan's set up, it offers us those options.
so if possible, the first 100 feet.
Yep.
Okay, now, the maintenance of Orchard Road itself. In the resolution, it's already addressing the inspections and so forth at the bridge. But the wear and tear on Orchard Road, I don't think is going to be attributed to a couple of SUVs taking kids to school. It would probably be more Mack dump trucks filled with gravel and so forth. So, it seems like there ought to be some kind of a agreement between the township and Mack associated with the overall maintenance of Orchard Road, that it is a township road and the township does have obligations to the residents to provide the services they're getting now, like snow removal and trash and so on and so forth. But, has that been discussed with the township as far as what that two homes, that road would last a whole lot of years. Lots of dump trucks, might not last as long. So, just if you could work that out with staff and so forth.
So I will say, in some preliminary conversations we had, knowing that the township does not have a road bonding program for construction, like Alan may be familiar with on the other side of the state. You know, would there be a possibility and something we can logistically look at to, you know, during construction, have that bonded, you know, do video, pre and post video, make sure that there's any damages on that part to maybe be addressed on that side. Maybe that would suffice for the commissioners.
I think that's something we can talk through. I don't think it should be as necessarily as elaborate as the bridge provisions, but I think the basic, making sure it's, you know, if MAC damages it during construction, that it's responsible for damage it causes. I think we can talk that through. I think that's me suggesting that without confirming with my client, but
That's what I would have proposed, the same exact thing. That's really what you do. It's called pre and post inspection. And if anything happens, they're responsible.
Okay, so so my understanding so far is that the berm and the sound wall and all of the ornamental plantings that are called for and so forth for Mount Mac or whatever you call that. It's a good sized berm. Will be part of phase one.
That's correct. Yep, and we have, I think, a row of evergreens, we have deciduous plantings. I think it works out to pretty much a triple row of trees along the entirety, which is shown.
That there will be drainage swales dug around the area where the gravel is going to convey the water to the existing detention pond, which will become a settlement pond. Is that
Correct. Yeah, the pond gets modified to increase its capacity for use as a sediment basin. But all the
And-
water gets conveyed to that.
And then there will be lots of gravel put there and with the plan of eventually putting asphalt over it, but after much disturbance and so forth.
there. That's phase one. Let me see if my laser works.
It probably
it's
won't on the
working.
screen.
It won't work on the screen, bummer. I was trying to be helpful, but you can see the swales going around the lower edge of the berm on the right to the basin and then coming from the west side as well.
And that's pretty much phase one.
Correct.
Phase two is putting in the lights. It will be dark sky compliant and all that stuff. And will there be different settings for working hours and security for the lights? You had said that the hours of operation would basically be 6 in the morning to 11 at night. And so after 11 o'clock at night, would they be cut down some so they're just for security purposes?
As I say, we will, might have a limited, but less operations during the nighttime as well. So it's not necessarily down to. But it's, we will have, I mean, the main operation starts 6 o'clock in the morning, ends at the 11 o'clock-ish in the evening. Then, of course, there will be some, but more limited operations during the nighttime.
Operations doing what?
Meaning truck traffic as well.
There will be traffic after 11 PM from time to time. When we have high inventories and we need to expedite through the night, we'll have some, but the normal operations, as Gunnar says, is 6 AM to 11 PM.
Yeah, I think the question is, will the lights be less after 11 o'clock till 9 o'clock as opposed to what they would be during normal operating hours?
Okay, you would like to turn off the light.
So the lights were designed to minimum security levels. to avoid spillover and understanding the type of operation, that it's, this isn't a public parking lot or a car dealership. It's Mac employees driving Mac trucks. or towing
So it's all
Mac
going to
trucks.
be,
So
so it would be the same lighting.
it's the same
24.
lighting, and it was designed to show compliance with the township ordinances with the full lighting, levels.
Okay. And water for fire water will not be provided until phase 2. And permanent detention and infiltration piping and so forth will all be part of phase 2.
Correct. The spray irrigation system is installed in phase 2.
And then phase 3 will be construction of the buildings, construction of the permanent bridge from across the creek,
Correct.
and what else in phase, well, and when is the macadam being put down?
For the truck parking area,
Yeah,
that's put down in phase 2. The paving of the entire parking area is done in phase 2. Phase 3, in addition to what you listed, includes the shoulder widening and intersection improvements at
oh, okay,
Orchard Road and Alberta's.
okay. We'll yield the floor.
Sorry?
I will yield the floor.
Okay. Are there any other commissioner questions?
I've no questions, just a couple comments. You know, you referenced the glory days in the 70s. The glory days were 1975, if my memory's correct.
When the plant opened.
That's when that plant was built. That plant's there a half a century, and it's still there, and hopefully it goes another half a century.
Yeah.
An important fact in this is an already approved plan. I believe what we're discussing here tonight is just phasing this plan in. So it's important that we all remember this is an approved plan. An additional element to this approved plan is Mac's commitment, if I have it right, to maintain and inspect that bridge there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. And then phase 1 means we're phasing it in. Will include all the buffering for the neighbors that was in the approved plan before it got phased.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct. And an important thing to me is, if I read the information correctly, the main thing is to haul trucks over there that are missing parts. So that should reduce tow truck traffic in the whole valley
That's correct.
by having that staging area just crossing the road to get to it.
Correct.
Mr. Beiler, your comment about 1975 when the factory opened, just a point of note. When the factory was opened, it was built to build 55 trucks per day. And through a lot of continuous improvement, we built over 130 trucks a day out of that factory over the years. So, we've done a lot to try to, keep things within the campus, but there comes a point in time where we need a little bit of an expansion to add additional context.
All right, and you did a lot, and you got a lot of challenges because we don't know what's the conditions will be in the future.
That's right.
For Mack trucks and a lot of manufacturers. But one thing we do know, the Lehigh Valley for a decade was bulldog country. It's my hope that all manufacturing and Mack trucks does well.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments?
Well, just one other one. If the trucks could be parked in a way that it minimizes the backing up, it would probably be appreciated by the residents.
backing up, if we can minimize
The beep,
that,
beep,
start them
beep, beep, beep.
immediately.
Avoid backing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, you mean from the noise perspective?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we had laid this out, we did try to take that into account just by how the spaces were configured, and by the fact that we didn't have parking right up against that berm. And so there weren't spaces to back into up against the.
Right. Anything further from the applicant? Okay. Then I'll ask for a motion on resolution 2025.
Hold on, we need public comment.
Sorry?
Public comment.
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
Normally, we actually do the motion before we do even commissioner comment, but I knew Commissioner Robert had a bunch, so. So I'm looking for a motion on resolution 2025-14, approval of the amended Mack Truck Depot Properties Plan.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Move to table until,
Okay, well, we have one motion first, so we get a second on this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've had commissioner comments and questions. It's time for public comment and questions. So this is when you can come up to the podium. I'll ask the counselor to yield the podium, and then feel free to come up and make your comments.
You guys can go back to your seats if you want. I mean, you're welcome to stay here.
Okay, hello again. My name is Ava Long, and I'm resident of 3371 Orchard Road. We've lived there for the past 8 years, and we would just like to express on behalf of my household and our neighbors, we would just like to express our concerns. We understand that the project was previously approved, but the fact that it's breaking up in these phases, it makes a big difference. These concerns, we have many concerns, but they center around a few. And one of them is safety risks. By breaking this project in phases, that bridge that was going to be built previously, I believe, on the main project or main phase one and only, now it's not going to be built at that time. We don't know when when phase two is going to be, we don't know when phase three is going to be. And that means heavy traffic on Orchard Road, which we know it's not designed for this heavy traffic. It exposes our children. We have children in the neighborhood that are playing. So that poses really significant risk for them. Besides the flood and water management, that is very big for us. Phase two includes the retention pond, but phase one leaves us with more water in a flood zone. And I don't know if you all remember August 2020, Hurricane Isaiah.
Thank you.
That was our road in 2020, August. We worry that without a retention pond in this phase, we're just gonna have more water. And you see how our homes were, like, we got so many inches of water, 18 inches of water in our house. And that field is currently retaining or absorbing that stormwater. And what's going to happen when that field is no longer there? Where's that water going to go? And then, not lastly, but very important is the infrastructure limitations, right? That by using the Orchard Road as only road to transport these trucks is the only way that we have to enter our street. The other side is a dead end currently, and it will remain that way. That bridge has a 10-ton capacity. What's gonna happen if that bridge collapses? So these are some of the biggest concerns that we have. And I would just like to put them out there for your, for you to really analyze them. And I'm sure that our neighbors are going to add to that as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on this topic? Yes, sir. Come up. Same thing, if you could just state your name and address and then sign in when you're finished.
Hello, everybody. My name is William Sloniker. I live at 3364 Orchard Road. I'm the farmhouse on the right. I have a lot of concerns, the same as our neighbors do. Wear and tear on the road. These are big trucks. I am very familiar with big trucks and big machines. I was in construction for many years. I know what they do to roads. I know what they do to bridges that are rated for them. I've seen it a lot. We just lost a bridge, I believe, in McCungy somewhere. We just lost a bridge to an empty propane truck.
Well, it wasn't an empty propane truck. It was a 20-ton truck that went over a 5-ton bridge.
Okay.
It was not supposed to
Okay.
be going there, so it's.
The article I was reading on one of the locals were saying it might have been empty. There was no hazard of it exploding or anything, but just simple stuff like that. The bridge, obviously, like our neighbor said, we have tractor trailers still come down to our road to this day. I don't know if it's ADI, their routing programs, whatever. They still try to get over that. Not that they would ever be able to make it over the train trestle, but they still try. And I grew up in that area, so I've seen many trucks get stuck there, trains, all kinds of issues. And you guys already covered the dead end, the turnaround, so that would be something simple. But the truck traffic with our children, us coming and going, I would like that to be closely watched. Mile an hour driving, being safe, especially when it's getting dark early morning. Our wives take our children to school, daycare, and that is our big issue is safety. Very much so. One of the, you guys covered the water issue, and in the later phases, there's going to be the sprinkler systems to help disperse the water into that creek. That hillside is a huge factor, and that is another concern we have. I'd like to know a little bit more about that and the volume capability on that. Just being that my yard goes under, I have animals in the yard. We have floods when it rains 3 days in a row. We had that big snow melt. They saw it. Their yard was flooded too. I have pictures. My wife has pictures. I'm up to here in the waders getting the chickens out of the chicken coop. You know, and it all melted down. So what I'm getting at is like the water will melt in that parking lot, go through the final drain system, be sprayed out into a field to return back into a creek that can't handle any more water. She just can't. I would like to know a little bit more about that, because that's also our property. That's going to be, that is a lot of water when you think about the square footage of a lot that size. Working times, you guys kind of covered that with under operation times. You know, the 6:30 to 11. I hear them leave every night when my side window's vibrating. I know when they're changing shifts, and I know how they leave and go. Again, our wives are leaving. It may be like they can't read the stop sign, you know, and a lot of different things occur there. But now it's not just going to be from the end parking lot. It is going to be an active situation on our road at night, during the day, shift changes, but also during the construction. I would like to know the work times for construction throughout the week. You know, when I can feel okay about having my children outside in privacy. I know this is I've been there 2.5 years. We love McCungy. It's beautiful. It's a great neighborhood. It's always a pleasure to be there. But this is going to be huge on our families. And I'm sure every one of you can agree, if this was happening in your backyard, you'd have concerns and want to speak out for our little 2-house community, especially because we have children. John and I went over a little bit of the property. I would like to have that marked out, and so we can kind of see where everything's going to go. Mac and I have some stuff to work out, as far as like moving stuff and whatever else. And again, him and I talked about job site respect. We have children, we're raising them in a Christian household. I know construction workers, job site respect is a big thing when you're in a community working around children and families and people out eating in their yard and stuff like that. Trash, yelling, screaming, vulgar things. You know, I know it's stressful on a job site, but I'm very big on what my children hear, who's around them, because that's, you know, my choice. I would like to, him and I have already talked about if there's issues, I can call him. But again, just a fair warning, there will be no hesitation to call you guys. You know, as far as right now, we have never had a problem with Mac. I used to work there. I have no complaints at all. It was a great experience. And we went over the berm and privacy, site, out of sight, out of mind kind of deals and stuff like that. But again, the bridge, I really would like that to be a big concern. I know it is, but I would really like to stay on top of that because that is our only way in and out of here. It's very tight, you know, and the wear and tear on the road. And again, driving to and from the plant, be careful, safety, our children, our families. We spent a lot of time at their house. They spent a lot of time, you know, we just go back and forth. And I'd like to just, you know, sit down with them further with our families and communicate more and maybe like sit down, have a lunch and really talk about what's going on and get more information on the phases. I'd like to know the timing of these phases as well, because this is going to be our whole summer where we picnic out back, and obviously that's not going to be a very comfortable thing now. I'd like to know more about, yeah, the times, how long each phase is going to be, and, you know, kind of hold it to that with, you know, our privacy and everything else. And go from there. I just wanted to voice that out for our families. Main
Thank you.
concern, safety
Thank you for
and
your
respect.
comments.
Thank you.
Alan, could you address the construction hours? Anything else you want to?
Thank you, guys.
Hi, John Lyon, Real Estate Director for Mack Trucks. Been with the company 20 years. So for this project, the construction phase, we're going through the sourcing process right now. So we've gone out to bid to several local suppliers and some that are also customers of ours to figure out who's going to do the work for us. So we are actively talking with them about the types of the work, how it's going to go, weights of trucks coming to the job site, the types of vehicles being used on the job site as well, and transporting the work around. So we are looking at, you know, general work hours. Typically they start rather early, you know, 6, 7 o'clock, and then go for typically a first shift. We aren't typically expecting to do a multi-shift construction. The expectation, you know, is to run a first shift operation for the construction daylight hours, certainly. Our expectation is somewhere between 2 to 3 months to do the total project. It'll certainly depend on how much unsuitable soil we find once we strip off the topsoil and start using that for the berm. We certainly have to do our testing of our subspace to make sure it's adequate for the stone. So certainly as you get into those types of measures, weather delays, et cetera, that might delay, you know, the project a little bit. But overall, we want to start as soon as possible to be able to start parking trucks over there. So our expectation is about a 2-month project.
For phase one.
For phase one, yes.
Now, is your plan to start phase two immediately after phase one, or is that determinant on different factors?
So the expectation right now, based on the company's needs, is to be able to start parking trucks there as soon as possible. So that's why we've taken this step to put down gravel.
Right.
And so our expectation is that for probably 2 years at least, where we have this time crunch of challenge with production, that's how we'll be at least needing to park the trucks there for that amount of time, and then make sure when can we start putting down the pavement and the ultimate stormwater controls that'll be put in place. But that's why we also worked with Bowler to utilize the existing basin that was factored into the original design so that we are addressing the amount of water. While the stone layer, we consider it impervious, so we have to address the stormwater with it. We certainly know that some water will seep into the ground versus when it is pavement. But ultimately, we have worked with Bowler to make sure we've designed that basin to address those stormwater concerns.
And I don't know if this is a question for you, John, but the plans which were previously approved and the permits we've received are all compliant with the township ordinances and with the DEP regulations for stormwater management, including phase one, and this part with the capacity and capabilities of the swale and basin system.
Yeah, that's my understanding from what Bowler has designed and leveraging that information already. I think the intention is that we understand that those houses get stormwater problems today without any improvements being made. My understanding is we are not going to have any positive extra stormwater addressing those neighborhoods. If anything, we're taking and putting it into a basin before it goes in the creek.
Yes, nope, go ahead.
There were a couple of points I just wanted to address that were raised. One, lost my spot. On the bridge, I think we've had the discussions, and Mr. Broman and I have had the discussions, and I think it's in the resolution that the bridge, there's a mechanism for making sure that the bridge is monitored and maintained appropriately based on the activities of MAC. So I think I think that's already addressed, but just to make it clear that I'm not sure if the residents saw that, but that MAC has agreed to do a pre-construction inspection, post-construction inspection, and monitor it and be responsible for repairs and even replacement if MAC's activities, cause that result. And then we had the discussion about Orchard Road as well. So I think we addressed those two. I think those were the couple of points I just wanted to make sure we addressed.
But I think just to add, when I heard the comments and the concerns from our residents, the Slonikers and the Longs, we did talk to them about, how we are managing the construction project. We're going to professional companies, large companies that, act with, safety plans. So we do expect safety is a quality of ours in our plants, but also with our contractors. So we have a contractor safety directive. We will go through those safety plans with them, work with them. And certainly, as I mentioned to both the Slonikers and the Longs, they have my cell phone number, so they can reach me at any time if there's any problems. And we have, people that will be on site managing the overall construction project, which is one of the obvious concerns. And then after that, it's then the operation from Mack Trucks. But during the construction as well, we've talked about not using that driveway that's right now a shared driveway with the Slonikers, that we will actually be, in effect, handing that over to them because we'll have a berm that's separating that driveway from the entrance off of Orchard Road for our work. So I think that's helping to alleviate some of the truck traffic that goes down Orchard Road and pulling into their driveway today. So I think that's a positive that we're working through. We also talked with the Slonikers about staking out the actual berm location so we can make sure it's not affecting any significant trees on their property. And then Mr. Sloniker has a shed that we think might be on our property, so we're going to coordinate with him on that work as well. So I think, opening that communication has been a good step in the right direction to really make sure that they're taken care of when we're doing this construction. We certainly have children of our own, and we certainly don't want to see any accidents or incidents where they're put at risk. So,
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment on this topic? All right. Well, most of my colleagues have made their comments and asked questions. I'm going to kind of give you mine. As Commissioner Butler said, this is an approved plan. we're discussing whether to phase it in or do it all at once. Now, the deal with doing it all at once is great, but it still could take 10 years to do it all at once. This allows us a little bit extra oversight as things happen, so we can look at phase one and see if they're abiding by what they're supposed to do before we get into phase two. That's important, and actually, it's a unique situation to have that ability. Once a plan is approved, they can go in and just start building, and pretty much take as long as they want, depending on permits and things of that nature. The second thing I'll point out is, and just from a historical perspective, before this land was owned by MAC, this was owned by the Jandal Corporation. 2015 or 2016, I don't know exactly the date, I made a motion to remove warehousing from our zoning ordinance. The board approved that. 1 hour before that zoning change happened, the Jandal Corporation came in and filed plans for a warehouse on this property. It was the last piece of land in the township that could have had a warehouse. We were fortunate that MAC bought this from the Jandals, because that eliminated any chance of a warehouse. So while this is not the best solution or the best for the neighbors, it could be a whole lot worse if there was a warehouse that had been put in there with trucks going back all the time, and not just the cabs, tractor trailers and moving stuff. And that would have been horrendous back there. And there's nothing we could have done to stop it, unfortunately. So we got lucky. Now, all of the concerns raised by the residents are extremely valid. We'll be watching this to make sure it's done the way it's supposed to be. One of the upsides here is you're not having a fly-by-night developer come in and build something that's never been here before. You have a 50-year township corporate resident who has been responsible and respectful in every way they possibly could be while building their business here in the township. And we're very appreciative of that, because it's a major employer. And we want to keep that manufacturing here when so much other manufacturing has gone other places. But I'm happy that you're speaking. I expect that that communication will continue, that MAC will be respectful of the residents' concerns and questions, that the residents will be respectful of what MAC is giving to you. And if you're not happy with it, you're going to let us know. I expect that. I wish every resident would tell us what the issues are. That being said, all we're really deciding here is whether they can do it in phases or do it all at once. It's being built regardless. There's no way to stop that. Of all the outcomes that could have happened on this piece of property, this is by far the best one for everybody, for the residents, for MAC, for the township as a whole. Another warehouse where we certainly don't need one would have been completely detrimental to everybody. And I agree with Mr. Sloniker. If I lived there, I wouldn't be happy at all. There's not a whole lot we can do to change that. I wish we could, but one way or another, that land was going to be developed into something. This is probably the best outcome that we have, but we're going to watch it. Now, the one concern I have, and there's really just one, this is a construction entrance. This cannot become the main entrance for this property. What that means is it can't be 8 years, 10 years down the road where the main entrance starts. And I don't know what our recourse is, solicitor, but I would be naive to think that we would allow that to continue on indefinitely, considering it's a temporary construction entrance. I realize it's going to be used, in the interim, but this can't be we do phase one, we get part of the way through phase two, and oh, by the way, we're never going to build that other entrance, because this entrance will close and you will not have access to your property. So I want to make sure that's very clear, and we will do everything within our power to make sure that happens. So I guess my parting words are, good luck with the project. please get this done as soon as you can and get to the permanent entrance so that the residents can have some peace of mind on the land they live on. All right. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. We've had comment from public and commissioners.
One final comment.
Yes, Commissioner Robert.
Okay, with the answers that I have heard tonight, I have supported the project all along, but didn't understand exactly how the phasing would fit together. And I am satisfied with the results from tonight, but I would prefer to table the project until the next meeting so that we can get a final draft of the resolution prior to adopting it.
Are we making adjustments to the resolution?
Yes. As a result of discussions yesterday and even some tonight, there'll definitely be changes to the resolution. They want to get to work, as you know. Alan and I are going to put the development agreement modification together very quickly. That's where we'll pick up things like building the entrance by a date certain, and if it doesn't, we'll have a remedy. So I think we have everything covered, but it does need to be amended.
Are you willing to change your motion to approve?
Well, I was ready to approve it tonight.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to change. I'm just asking if you want to.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Shoemaker, any change to your second?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion. I will second the motion. So we have a motion and a second
What was the motion?
to motion for approval.
Oh, okay, I thought,
He made the motion, he seconded
seconded
it.
it. Okay, I thought that we were
Commissioner
changing
Robert
that.
wanted it rescinded so we could table.
Just, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we were clear because I got a little confused there. I apologize.
So we have a motion and a
I
second.
might,
Go ahead. Nope.
I might explain what really needs to be done, just so
Yeah.
you could, the one in front of you, the phasing is both thin and not entirely accurate. So we're going to move basically what you see up on the board onto the first page for the warehouses to really flesh out what is phase one, what is phase two, what is phase three. Alan and I too will go over the Orchard Road Bridge to make sure we have that completely covered. And those are really the two changes that need to be made.
I agree.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, then it's voted down.
Yeah, I mean, I take this as I will with Mac, Allen, redo this resolution and bring it back on the 15th, be reconsidered.
Works for me?
I move to table the motion for now and to address it at the May 15th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Is there any, Mr. Irvin, if you want to come on up?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Irvin. I'm 4312 Clearway, Allentown. I'm chairman of the zoning board. Mr. Higgins, I'm coming in front of you tonight to request an alternate be appointed to the zoning hearing board. The last 3 hearings we've had, 2 of them had to be continued because we did not have enough members, or a member had to recuse himself. So I'm coming before you to see if we can get an alternate. We had a 3-member panel, and then it went to a 5-member panel and no alternates. So I'm asking for at least 1 alternate.
So just so I'm clear, You brought this up to Vince this week, correct?
I did, yes, sir.
And what was Vince's response to that?
Vince was out of town. And I understand from Renee that she spoke, excuse me, Ms. Fletcher, that she spoke to Vince about it. I'm here tonight to sort of put it on the record, that's
Okay.
all.
Very good. Well, thank you for your comments.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. This is non-agenda topics. If it was on the agenda, we're done with it. Okay? So, well, we already voted on your thing tonight, so. Sure.
I apologize for coming in after you've made the resolution. But the question we had was the clause about landscaping, fencing, and other amenities. So we had comments about the landscaping and fencing. Did the board discuss that either at the workshop or here? And how should we proceed? We should have clarity about what the process is for firming that up so we can get this. Did you want to comment, Vince?
Yeah, so probably any landscaping comments would be handled in the engineer letter. So it could work directly, your engineer could work directly with a township engineer.
So we commented on what the engineer said. Did you see our comments?
The comments was that last,
We submitted comments on Monday in response to the engineers and your comments of the previous week. Did you see those comments?
correct, we did. But we didn't have a chance to comment back.
Okay, so the process then is that we will be talking, can I talk to you tomorrow about the comments in response to the comments? So we know what to do.
Sure. Would you just explain to Rabbi Blank about how the condition of the resolution works, so that they have to satisfy the conditions of the letters?
So Vince is correct. This resolution basically is your outline for what you need to do before you can start construction and make sure all of those conditions are met. If you have a question, most certainly call Vince. If it's an engineering question, he'll bounce it to Brian.
Okay, so we had comments on the engineer's comments. And were those comments acceptable, or do we have to make changes?
Now, I think what you heard tonight is that they haven't been read yet. I mean, they haven't.
Well, they haven't been addressed yet.
No, they haven't been investigated.
Can I
No.
call you tomorrow? Thank you.
No, they need to be, reviewed and figure out how to respond to them. And, like I said, the resolution is the Bible. So,
Okay. Thank you. That's clear.
Thank you. Item 8, communication, Mr. Vital.
Thank you. I have just two items. Susan Kreitz, Mill Creek Road, letter of thanks for the purchase of the open space. Sanford Ames, RCN Senior Vice President, notification of rate changes for RCN services. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. There are no appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions this evening. Item 10, approval of minutes of previous meeting, April 17th, 2025.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 11, approval of transfers, bill list, and payroll. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. I have the following for your consideration. The general fund, $757,149.20. The solid waste fund, $399,390.53. The sewer fund, $246,053.36. The capital projects fund, $201,417.89. The open space maintenance fund, $9,496.25. The payroll, $163,740.65. The developer escrow, $20,483.66. For a total of all funds, $1,797,731.54.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 12, departmental matters, engineering. Mr. McAdam.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, any questions for the engineer? Planning, Mr. Tranguch.
Thank you, Mr. President. No regular report, but I would just like, just to make a comment on Mr. Irvin being here tonight. I don't think, we got, obviously, we'll have to work that out, and we'll talk to Mr. Irvin. But I think what Mr. Irvin was referring to was the last couple of meetings, we had 4 members, much like you had tonight. The applicant chose to seek a continuance for the possibility of a tie vote. So again, I think it's just something we need to discuss and look at our ordinance and see what we can do. So
I mean, the only thing I will say is we used to have 3 members and 2 alternates. Now we have 5 people. So it was the same thing before, basically. And it is the applicant's right to withdraw if they are concerned about a tie.
Mhm.
So, I would like to know if there's any language in the statute that allows for an attendance policy, that if someone is consistently not attending, that they can be removed and replaced with somebody else by local rule. Okay, so then it's
Could adopt that.
probably something we should look into.
Part of
We
the
don't have
zoning
one
code.
already.
and I just wanted to bring it up tonight, just to give the board a little background. That's all.
Awesome. Any questions for the planner? Solicitor Bruman.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Any questions for the solicitor? Township manager, Mr. Beidle.
Just a couple quick items. Reminder to the public and the board, this upcoming Tuesday, Community Day event from 4 to 8 on the complex at the community center. So we look forward to everybody attending that. Also, just for some information, May 9th at 1 PM at the Hillside School, little ribbon cutting with the school for the Hillside School trail path there. So if anybody would like to attend from the board as well, more than welcome. It should just be a quick moment to open that pathway. So those are the 2 items I had. Also a reminder, the swimming pool is now full. You can get your swimming pool membership right now. So we're about 3 weeks away from the pool open. That's all I have unless there's questions.
Have we scheduled the annual manager down the slide?
We have not, but we can.
Okay. Because I've done the slide, just so you know, and it didn't break and I fit through it. So that's important to know. Okay, item 13, other business. Is there any old business this evening? Is there any new business this evening? Item 14, Board of Commissioner reports. The first thing I will report, because I forgot to say that, is anybody in the public who'd like to review our bill list, they can do so online. The next regular board meeting is May 15th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The next board workshop is May 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Note, this is the 3rd Monday of the month due to the Memorial Day holiday on the 4th Monday of the month. There was no executive session prior to this meeting, nor will there be one after the meeting. And with that, we are adjourned.